Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The production of speech sound. Articulators above the larynx. All the sound we make when we speak are the result of muscles contracting. The muscles in the chest that we use for breathing produce the flow of air that is needed for almost all speech sounds. Muscles in the larynx produce many different modifications in the flow of air from the chest to the mouth. After passing through the larynx, the air goes through what we call the vocal tract, which ends at the mouth and nostrils. We call the part comprising the mouth the oral cavity, and the part that leads to nostril the nasal cavity. Here, the air from the lungs escapes into the atmosphere. We have a large and complex set of muscles that can produce chants in the shape of the vocal tract. And in order to learn how the sounds of speech are produced, it is necessary to become familiar with the different parts of the vocal tract. These different parts are called articulators, and the study of them is called articulatory phonetics. 1. The pharynx is a tube which begins just above the larynx. 2. The soft palate or velum in a position that allows air to pass through the nose and through the mouth. 3. The hard palate is often called the roof of the mouth. 4. The alveolar ridge is between the top front teeth and the hard palate. 5. The tongue is very important articulator, and it can be moved into many different places and different shapes. 6. The teeth, upper and lower. 7. The lips are important in the speech. Sound in which the lips are in contact with each other are called bilabial, while the with lip-to-teeth contact are called labiodental. The 7 articulators described above are the main one used in speech, but there are a few other things to remember. Firstly, the larynx, which will be studied in Chapter 4, could also be described as an articulator, a very complex and independent one. Secondly, the jaws are sometimes called articulators. Certainly, we move the lower jaw a lot in speaking, but the jaws are not articulators in the same way as the other, because they cannot themselves make contact with other articulators. Finally, although there is practically nothing active that we can do with the nose and the nasal cavity when speaking, they are a very important part of our equipment for making sounds, which is something called our vocal apparatus, particularly nasal consonants such as M and again. Again, we cannot really describe the nose and the nasal cavity as articulator in the same sense as 1 to 7 above.
And number 2, vowel and consonant. Vowel and consonant are well known. Vowels are sounds that do not interfere with the airflow as it passes through the larynx to the lips. Most people wouldn't have a dog like should be called a consonant. Different languages have different ways of dividing sound into vowels and consonant. The difference between the vowel and consonant is the difference in the way they are produced. There cannot be any ambiguity or disagreement. It is an unavoidable problem. It is possible to form two groups of sounds, vowel and consonant, in other ways. The most important difference between the vowel and the consonant is not how they are made but their different distribution. It is important to remember that the distribution of vowels and consonants differs from language to language. We need to know in terms of what different vowels are to each other. The first thing to consider is the shape and the position of the tongue. It is common to simplify a very complex possibility by explaining only two things. First, the vertical distance between the top of the tongue and the palate, and second, the tongue's part between the front and the back, which is left to the highest level. Let's look at the same example. The English word see and look in the mirror. If you tilt your head slightly back, you can see that your tongue is straightened out near the roof of your mouth. The difference between I and A is the height difference of the tongue, and we will describe me as a relative closed vowel and as a relative open vowel. The height of the tongue can be changed by moving the tongue up or down, and by moving the lower jaw up or down. Normally, we use several combinations of two kinds of movement. In making the two vowels described above in the front of the luxuriant tongue, therefore we can describe I and A as a relative front vowels by changing the shape of the tongue. We can produce vowels that have different parts of the tongue at the highest point. A vowel in which the highest point in a rare vowel. If you make a vowel in the word kite, which we write phonetically as, you can see that the back of the tongue is elevated. These are the most familiar vowels by the speaker of most European language, and there are other cardinal vowels that sound less familiar. On this course, the cardinals live, letter and phrase in the square brackets to distinguish them from English vowels. This left the terms vowels and consonant to be used in the dissemination of phonological elements according to the distribution of them, and its role in syllabary structure. See section 5.8, Lever 1995. While vowels are usually vowels and consonants usually refer to festivities, this is not always the case. For example, J in yet and W in wait is a consonant. Example of the word beach, pin, fish. The diagram shows that although the vowels are on the adjacent front compared with the cardinal of vowels no, one is more open and closer to the center, and two, E and no, and three, E, lips are the little spread, and number 4, A, lips are the little spread. This vocal cardinal is the standard reference system, and thus were being trained in the phonetic as an advanced level must learn to make it accurately and properly recognized. It has become the tradition of finding a cardinal of the vowels on four sides. Notes on the problem and the readings. Further, one of the most difficult aspects of phonetics at this stage is a number of technical terms to be studied. Every phonetic textbook gives a description of the articulator, because to approach to different product as different result, as we must use new terms, voice and do not block airflow should be called vocoids, and voice that block airflow should also be referred to consonant. Thank you, enough from us, and last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi